think a lot of the one button rotation was just a bunch of fear mongering, because that's not what it would be. There are so many different things that you want to weave in and do different things. It isn't about that. It is I think a two-front issue, a space issue and a pruning of skills issue. And I was like, we either are going to continue to make the early game of this game like incredibly dull, because they're going to take those abilities and they're going to just kind of shift them into the late game. Now what they can do is they can actually bring back old abilities if they choose to, or if nothing else, shift abilities earlier and continue to stack on additional abilities, because you're not going to have to worry about, you only have so many spaces. And I know with Endwalker, as opposed to Shadowbringers and even Stormblood, like the amount of extra clicks and things that I have to do on specific jobs, not all jobs, has like ballooned up to be way more difficult in the long run. And there's a part of that that's you want, as a player, you want to have a skill level of challenge, but that's what I'm thinking. What do you guys think?
Till we see it, it's really hard to get too judgmental. Now that does write them kind of a blank check, that if there's something wrong, were we supposed to say something now, but we didn't because we wanted to wait. So like, we're gonna have to see. There is a lot of room on some of these classes where there is a button that you're not using very often and another button that you're not using very often, and those times don't overlap. And there's no reason those can't be the same button if it's got enough intelligence to it that always knows if I'm trying to use A or B. So like there is room for this to be implemented in a way that doesn't break anything. It just acts as an intelligent macro, where you don't have the DPS loss of macros. The question is, like, does it remove complexity? There are games with small amounts of buttons that have immense complexity. If you've ever played Guitar Hero, if you've ever played Mario, I mean, Mario does not have a lot of commands, and yet very few of us beat Mario games. They're incredibly difficult. So like, number of buttons does not immediately equate to complexity, but there's something very satisfying about a big rotation like going well. The question is, what does this do long term as they want to continue adding abilities and having prunes? And then what does this do in synced content? Because every method that they've picked so far has made synced content feel different, and usually for the worse. So my question is this something that can help them better protect what it feels like when you hop into a leveling roulette? Because right now, that, like, I just want my buttons. Like, some of the levels don't feel good if you're used to playing at max level and you get dropped down. There are just certain level ranges that some classes just don't feel good.
I mean, it's not that it doesn't feel good, but Black Mage just feels like a different job every 10 levels. You don't know what your rotation is every time you jump into leveling roulette as Black Mage.
And that's where my frustration with the level sync system has really come to play, where things like Boja were so nice, because they're just going to be like, all right, if you want to put it on the bar, you can put it on the bar. But things that when you go get synced down and all of a sudden all of those abilities just get completely axed. I was like, one thing that we've advocated for, Chris and I, in the past, is literally just like, all right, let us keep our abilities, just nerf them all into the ground. Like, all right, make it kind of trait based, to where it's like, you have your full combo, but all those additional hits will never hit the theoretical maximum that, of DPS that you could do anyway. So you're just then practicing your rotation, having some flash, and then also inviting the new players who are like, holy crap, that ability, that looks so cool. And you're like, yeah, it is. Like there's got to be something. Like I would love to see that brought in as well, especially when it comes to sync content.